Good morning. This is Becky again here at Aunt Beck's Creations. And I got a message from Melanie letting me know I was buffering really bad. I'm not sure what's causing that. And I'm hoping we can finish on this take. And I'm not sure where it cut off, but in that first bag of fabric that I was sharing, I have enough to make 13, possibly 14 more dresses. And remember, I have 26 labels, and we'll see how that goes. But anyway, I'm pulling out the next group of fabrics. I have enough of this red and white stripe to go with something else, but I don't have anything else with it. But I'm going to count it as a dress because I will come up with something to go with it. I have a spool of red thread, and I have these anchors, which there is enough of this anchor fabric that I could match it with the fabric I have it matched with, which I've used this before, so I don't want to get too crazy with it because it's already pressed, but it's that Christmassy kind of stripe that we used, I think, on that dress over there. But it would go with that, and I could possibly do a mixed up dress with the red and the white stripes. So I'm going to say 2 dresses there. So I'll mark 2 on my sheet here. This I bought to make myself something, but because I'd like to try to use up my labels, I went ahead and put it in here to make a dress for a little girl. And I have it paired with this just plain, and I think that'll be cute together as well. Yeah, I got a message from Melanie. So yeah, I got it. I got restarted. And hopefully I won't lose connection. And now I've got these betta fish. This one might be one that I've got to get real creative with because I don't think I have enough to do like a bodice and a skirt. So I might have to do a mix up kind of like this one. But it'll be fine because this is the other fabric. So I think those 2 fabrics go together really good. So that'll be a dress there. I just want to see if I have enough fabric to use all of my labels up. If I do, I'm going to start really pushing. All right, so now I've got a strawberry dress with this kind of pinstripe. I love to mix prints with stripes. I just think they look cool. So we'll mark that one. This one's going to be an interesting dress. Okay, so I've got this fabric and this to go with it. So this one's going to be a wild dress. I mean, it's going to be really pretty. And if there's that beautiful model, she has a really dark complexion. I just love her. I love to see her in magazines. I just love to watch her on the runway. I don't watch a lot of runway shows, but I don't remember her name, but she's got the most beautiful complexion. A little girl with that complexion in these colors, oh my God, that would be she'd be a stunner. Oh, that would be just stunning. Stunning, stunning. All right, now I have, okay, we need to put the red thread back with those because all of those will use that red thread. Now I've got this, it's kind of a robin's egg blue. Oh no. So I have this butterfly fabric, but I only bought a fat quarter to go with it because I was thinking I'd do just the pockets. So I'm hoping I have enough to do the skirts, the outer fabric, and the lining all out of this butterfly. I hope I bought enough. If not, I have to shop my stash. And I got this to go for the pockets because I thought that batik would be beautiful. Hey, Teresa. So there's one. And we're switching color thread. So I only have one dress to do with that color. I might save that for last. All right, now I've got yellow. Oh, did I mark that down? Oh, crap. 1, 2, 8. See, I had 13. So 1, 2, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3. Well, this is the yellow one. And to go with the yellow butterflies, I have picked out a couple fabrics. So when I bought the yellow fabric, I bought this batik to go, fat quarter to go with it for the pockets. But in case I don't have enough, I also have this fabric to kind of go with it. So I could do a mixy matchy dress out of that. And the yellow thread goes back in there. That's another single dress that I don't have any more yellow. I'm going to put those single dresses at the bottom of the pile when I put them back in here. All right. I now have some green thread. And I have, this one will be one that has to be mixed up kind of like this as well. Because I don't have enough, I don't think. This one might take a lot of creativity. But I have this fabric and this one to go together. And also that uses the green thread. I have these cute little monkeys. And then I've got this fabric here to go with it. Not sure if there's enough there for 2 skirts or not. I'm pretty sure I checked that already, but we'll see when I get there. Oh dear, I'm not marking anything. Oh, I know I had 13 before. I'll count these again when I put them back in. And then this is the other green. Whoops. And this is enough to make several dresses. I'm going to say 2 dresses out of this, maybe 3. But I only have, I think this was a remnant, but I thought it would be a cute pocket option. And it's very across the fabric. What's that called where it changes color across the fabric? I can't think of what this is called when it does that. I don't know. So anyway, I'm going to say there's enough for at least 2 dresses, probably more. And these are, it's like a vintage print. And I think it's puppy dogs in, and well, no, it's puppy dogs. Yeah, it's little dogs in hot air balloons or with an umbrella. I'll count these when I do it again. And then I have some light pink to go with these kitties. And for the lining and the pockets, maybe I have these, and they kind of go together. All right, and this is another single dress. All right, so I know I had 13 before. So now I'm going to count these as I put them back in, and we'll just ignore some of this stuff. I had 13, and I'll just start some new tick marks for these. So there's 1, 2, and 3. 3. And then probably 2 out of this puppy one. Tippy's been pulling at this bag. And then I've got this one here. And this one. And then the red thread, right? Red thread. I have 1. And 2. 2, 3. I'm going to say I'm going to get 2 out of this one as well. So I put 2 marks on there. And I could probably get 2 out of this one. So I'll put 2 marks down for that. And then the last one here. And some of the fabrics that I have a lot of, I can maybe get, something to go with one of the other fabrics to make even another dress. So that's why I say don't be afraid to mix the prints up, So that bag has enough for about 14 dresses. So I have 26 labels. I have enough fabric to do 27 dresses. So it'll probably, it's an even go. So if I just start doing these, I'll use the labels up before I do the fabric. So that tells me maybe I'll just cut out enough to do exactly the 26 and maybe keep that red fabric with the flowers on it for myself again. But we'll see. I have to use these labels up. Again, this may be my last year doing this because Joann's is no more and I really don't have any options for fabric near me for cotton fabrics at a reasonable price. I'm not going to pay $14 a yard, but I may be able to do a few each year with thrifted fabrics because like that fabric I just bought, I never know what I'm going to find. And if somebody's sewing Mima or Grandma or Gigi or whatever passes on, there's hardly anybody younger in my family that wants to sew. So I'm trying to use my stash up because I have nobody to inherit this. So, it would just get thrifted or tossed in a dumpster because that's what a lot of young people do is they just hire a dumpster and they throw all grandma's stuff in it. But anyhow, that makes me sad. So I'm not going to talk about that. Hi, Sophia. Ombre. Thank you, Melanie. Thank you. All right. Vicki, you had sent a message to our little group this morning about PDF patterns. And I just bought a PDF pattern. The thing, you have to be careful with the PDFs. I would not suggest a PDF pattern for anybody that's just getting into sewing myself, because I'm always finding issues with the patterns because I bought one recently here, okay? And if you get one, print the instructions off before you print the pattern pieces. And if you can, try to find one that's absolutely free. There are PDF patterns that are free. You do stand a chance of the information and the guidelines being a little less coherent, but it would give you an option to try one out. I paid for this one. I didn't pay much. It was half off. It was like less than $4. But I printed this off and I went ahead and I did print the pieces. And I'm going to show you what you have to do if you print at home. A lot of people, like in the UK, you guys have an option to send things off to have them printed. And there's a couple ladies in the US that say they send theirs off. For me to send something off here, it just seemed crazy expensive. So I just print at home on letter size paper, and then you have to tape the pieces together. But I just thought I'd go over this pattern. I bought this. It's called the Pink Jacket pattern by Luisa Gonzalez del Castillo at Luisa's Patterns. It's a adorable jacket, and it's exactly the type jacket I need to turn this awesome blanket into this jacket. That's my plans. And I was going to show you guys this jacket in a little bit more, it's not a jacket yet, but it's going to be. It's got like symbols on it. Like in this corner, can you see the horse? There's a horse there. See his head, it's right here. That's his butt right there, and his tail comes out. So there's a horse on that corner, and on this corner, I think it's a stag, no, it's a bird. Let's see, the bird's head is over here somewhere. It's hard to see when you're looking at it this way. But you can see there's a creature there. But my favorite part was on the other two corners, because I was born in March and there's Pisces. So yay, that's going to go on the front of my coat. So what I'm going to do is I will fold this right sides together. Because see, there's a definite back to it. So I'll fold this right sides together, and I'm going to line the corners up really well and put the front piece on it. So the front will have the fringe come down the front of my jacket and across the bottom. So there won't be any hemming on the sleeves or the jacket, because I'm just going to reuse the edge of this blanket. All I'll have to do is I'll have to deal with the neckline. And I can do that with some bias tape, pre-made bias tape, and just fix the neck that way. Or if I have enough of this that still has some edging to it, maybe make a collar to go around that has the fringe on it. I don't know. It's something that I'm going to be playing with. I basically just want to go over what my week's going to look like. But now let me show you guys this pattern. When you start reading through, I even put notes on here. Please pay attention to my own notes for success. They have a size chart and the material list on one of the pages. Printing instructions. Always print just this page before you try to print it all, because you got to make sure your printer is set up so the square measures exactly what they say. Because if it doesn't, and you go to print your pattern pieces off and your printer's not set right, the pattern is not going to be right. It'll be either too small or way too big. You've got to have all of that set. So always do this test page with the printing instructions that has the little square. Print that page only. And it also gives you where, if you can figure out, I can never figure out how to do it on my computers. Open this in Adobe Reader, and it has layers. So you can choose just the size that you want to print off if you want to. I printed all the sizes because I'm going to keep the one I taped together, and I'll just fold it up, and I'm going to trace out the size with my pattern tracing paper. So I'll always have the original, and I can trace out any size that way. Yeah, the square is supposed to come out as a 2x2 square. Print out at 100% scale on your home printer for an A4. And then this is how they show you to tape all the things together, and they tell you which sides to trim off and how to tape it together. This can be a headache. A lot of people don't like to tape the PDF patterns together. It does take some practice to get them dead on. And I'm not going to lie, I really hated it the first couple patterns that I did. But once you learn how they match up And if the pattern designer has been good and added little marks for you to line up, it makes everything easier. If you get a pattern that doesn't have additional marks, let me show you. Like this is the, well, she doesn't, it's not labeled what this is, but I believe this is the front of it. It's piece A. I'm going to write on this jacket front. But you can see she's added these little marks right here in the middle, right there, and then some at the bottoms of the sheets. And they correspond to each other. So you'd line up the ones, you'd line up the twos, you'd line up the threes, and so on. You can see they're numbered. See the little twos? And then you want to make sure the pattern lines actually match up. So this is the pattern front. And you would cut these mirrored. That's why I said I'm going to fold that blanket right sides together. And then I'll just line this straight edge up with the fringe down the side and across the bottom. And it does look like there is a slight curve to this, but since I have the fringe, I'm just going to line up the front edge with the edge of it and just let that be wherever it falls. So my jacket won't have a kind of a dimensional curve to match the body. Mine will just be a straight jacket across here, but that's fine. So that's what you have to do. You get like a stack of these. You can see how many pieces it's going to print off for you right there. So you got the front and the back at the top, and then the sleeve at the bottom. And I've just cut mine into the component sections there. And then the sleeve is a big old piece, which I think the sleeve is going to be my downfall. I might have to do shorter sleeves. Yeah, the numbering does help a lot. You still have to make sure that the different colored patterns, and I would say if you want to print in like a grayscale or black and white, they do show you a difference with the dotting and the, how the sizes are marked, but it's so much easier to see if they're color coded like this. So you might want to print the pattern off. If they give you a color option, go ahead and bite the bullet on the color ink. I mean, it's just lines. It does make it easier. So any other questions about PDF, Vicki? You have to pay attention, and I've highlighted it on mine for the seam allowances. Some designers will do only a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Some will say a 1/2 an inch. Some will do only centimeters, but you can put that in a measurement transfer. If you're like me and you can't visualize centimeters, I can't. I was brought up on inches. I know that my thumbnail is 5/8 of an inch, which is a standard seam allowance in the US, Big 4, Big 5, whatever pattern company. So that's how I judge if my seam's going good. I just let my thumb lay down because I know it's 5/8 of an inch. But anyway, pay attention to what they say, for your seam allowance, which is 1.5 centimeters is 5/8 of an inch. It tells you how many pieces to cut out. So you cut out 2 fronts, and the B for the back is on the fold, and then the sleeves you cut out 2 because you have most of us have 2 arms. Let's see. Now, read through the instructions and think about it before you start to sew something together. And once you've sewn for a while, you'll also see where they're going with certain things. Like she does a set-in sleeve. I hate doing set-in sleeves. I never am successful at it. I always end up having to rip them out because you're sewing in a very curved thing. It's so much easier to put sleeves in the flat, meaning that you've only sewed the shoulder seams and then you fit your sleeve in. I find that so much easier. So if you know that that's the way you do it and you see this, you know that she's going to do a set in sleeve because she's already sewed the inside of the arm. If you want to do it in the flat, you have to do it before you sew up the side seams, and you do it right after the shoulders are done. Then you put your sleeve in, and then you sew up the side and down the sleeve. It's one big long seam that way. Now, a note about her instructions. They're pretty good instructions, except she said place pieces A and B together with the wrong sides facing each other, ensuring that the edges align perfectly. Carefully pin the shoulder and side seams to hold the pieces in place. If you put wrong sides together, your seam is going to be on the outside of your garment. You have to put the right side of the fabric, the part you want people to see, you have to put them together. So it's right sides together, and sew your seam, and then you flip it right side out, and then it's smooth on the outside. She does talk about finishing the seams individually after you've sewn the seam. And I find that a little hard for me to get through my serger. So if you wanted a finished seam, you could serge the edge. Just don't cut anything off. You could serge your edges before you stitch your piece together. These are just ideas and options. But again, and when they're telling you to cut strips just straight across the fabric, and they're calling them bias strips, they are not bias strips. They are strips. They are not bias strips. Bias is cut at the 45. So these, to be biased, they would have to be cut at an angle, 45 degrees, like down like that. Bias is where the fabric will bend and turn. When it's in a strip, that is not bias tape. That's not a bias strip. It has to be where it's across the grain at an angle, like that, to get that fabric to bend and curve. That's like if you're doing a bias cut skirt, you have to be extra careful in that you don't want to twist it too much, or your skirt is going to warp and it's not going to feel nice on the body. It's not going to feel comfortable at all. So when somebody's telling you this is a bias strip, it's not a bias strip. FYI, it's just a strip. And they're saying that that's how you get your bias strips to go around the neck. And out of this blanket fabric, I don't see me cutting bias strips from it. I will probably just use a navy purchased bias tape. So that's just some ideas. Again, if you just want to get your toe into PDF patterns, I would suggest, find one that's inexpensive. This was on sale on her Etsy shop. And it's just a simple jacket. The only problem is you got to pay attention to those instructions, and because you don't want your seams on the outside of your jacket. So let's see. That covers the PDF patterns. That covers the Project Dress a Girl. I do have some wifey stuff to do. Scott was doing something, and his phone caught on something and pulled his pocket loose. So I want to finish those dresses up because I just loaded the thread to do those 2 dresses, and I don't want to have to unload it. I guess I could pull out one of my other 7 sewing machines and fix his shirt. I could do that. I could set my dressmaker up and just fix his shirt with some black thread. I might do that. So there's that needs to be fixed. I have so much sewing to do this week. So yeah. Oh, and I want to make the jumper that was a surprise addition. I want to make this jumper for myself. I know it's kind of old fashioned. This screams the 1980s when they did these pre-printed. Remember in the 80s, they did all these pre-printed projects, like you could get vests, you could get stuffed animals. Everything came pre-printed, and you just cut out your size and put it together. Yeah. But you can make bias tape from a 10-inch square. There is instructions. You just have to mark lines on it, and then you shift the piece and sew it, and then you just cut in a circle around and around, and then you get bias tape that way. So there are ways to make bias tape inexpensively out of just a square. Like a fat quarter, you can get quite a bit of bias tape out of it, but you've got to look up those instructions. I have to look them up every single time I make bias tape that way. But anyway, so this is on my list to do this week as well. And since I just used, in fact, I could use black thread with this because it's got black in the, I think that's black, or is it navy? I don't know. It's a dark color. And yesterday, was it yesterday? No, Saturday, I did a video, and I had gotten that weird yarn by Deborah Norville that's made out of the fleece. And I knew I wasn't going to get a full hat or anything out of it. Well, I could have probably got a hat out of it. But I made myself one of those headbands. And I just made this up as I went along. And I love these in the winter because they cover just the parts of me that I need to cover, because I get an ear infection like really easy. So these cover my ears. So that's my own design. And it was quick to do. And the fabric looks cool when it's crocheted up. It was weird to work with because it's like strips. It's like narrow strips of fleece. But this is really warm. You can see my join too much, though. I should have done that a little better, but hey ho, it's for me, right? So that was that out of that yarn. So that was something I thrifted, brought in, and it instantly made something up. That's why I want to go ahead and do this jumper. Oh, my nose. All right, so I think, and I went through and I put the two charm packs that I picked up together. So I, separated them, and then I matched them up. And for some reason, I got two of every fabric except the first fabric. So I got one in each charm pack. And then the last fabric in the stack, there was 3 in each. So I have, I think, 6 in this one. 6 pieces in this one, and then only the 2 in that first one. But every other fabric, I had 2, so I have 4 of every other fabric because I put them together. So now I need a project that uses 2 charm packs, and this is called Sand and Surf. So it's blues, greens, and a little bit of beige. So I'm trying to think of what kind of quilt. I think there's enough here. I could do a whole quilt. If I have like a cream to go with this and made blocks, I could come up with a quilt top out of these. And I only paid, I think it was $2.99 for all of this because they were taped together. Somebody was probably thinking, oh, nobody will buy that. And I felt very, very happy about finding them. These are 5-inch squares, 42 pieces. So it's actually 84 pieces of fabric here because I have put I had 2 of the packs. So that's enough to do a little quilt out of. So anyway, let me see what Safi is saying. And I brought my laptop in here, and I keep trying to use the laptop mouse for the desktop computer. surprised Scott didn't call me a crackhead. But anyway, there's Anne is here, and Teresa, and Safia, and Vicky. It looks navy. Yeah, I think it is. I think it is. Yeah. And I don't know if you guys saw, I shared it on Facebook, but one of the gals, oh, she shared that you can watch the Great British Sewing Bee on Roku here in the States now. And I went ahead and signed up to have a sign in for Roku. And I've been watching, I think, season 6, I think, is the one I've been watching. So it's been fun watching them. I might put them on for a little bit and start sewing on those dresses. I might pull out another sewing machine and fix Scott's shirt and go from there. Oh, you've got one that you can't just use. My serger, I can just use regular sewing needles in. If you were in the States, I'd say try Wawak, but you're not. So I'm sure you'll come across somebody over there. I hate that when you're all set to go and something like that happens. All right, guys, I think I've kept you long enough. I like these Monday mornings to just kind of go over what I have going on. The only other thing I had got that far with my stitching. I'm not going to pull it out right now, but this may take me 20 years to finish at the rate I'm going. Once Project Dress a Girl is done, I will really focus on that cross stitch. All right, I'm going to let you guys go. I hope everybody has a wonderful week ahead, and I'll see some of you in our stitching or knitting and crochet and stuff later. All right. Oh, and she's almost worked her way through the shawl she's working on. You'll have to show us later. All right. Bye, guys. Have a great day.